Hey guys, this is Simon with Caddis Fly Shop, an Oregon fly fishing blog, and today I'm tying for you a pretty sweet green drake cripple or emerger. It uses EP fibers for the body. Super buoyant, gives it a natural segmented look. We're making it two-tone. I was fishing this on a spring creek the other day and having great success with it. The beauty of it with this vertical hackle is you can trim the hackle down if the fish are being really finicky to give it a lower riding presentation. It's all around just a real natural looking drake. We tied in a size 10. If you need to go up or down depending on your fishery, go ahead and do that, but this is what works for us around here. I'll give you a closer look and get to tying it. So looking closely at this fly, it is a emerger reminiscent of a lot of other emergers. Standard shuck in the back, body, hackle, and CDC. And there's a little bubble here. That looks like another wing poking out, or it'll just kind of help hold it up. And then when it gets wet, it'll serve as another, trigger point that the fish will see, maybe a wing that has hit the water, and to show that this bug's in trouble. But what I really like about this fly is this body uses EP trigger point fibers, which are naturally water resistant or waterproof. So this fly will float pretty good. And what I like to do before I tie something like this on is I actually like to wet the shuck so it drops back correctly, because you really do want it to sit in the water like this. The water line would be like that, because this whole back end is really the target that you want the fish to see. A lot of CDC in the front means that when this stuff starts to get wet, it'll really be sitting more like this with the CDC out, and that's just how insects emerge. I was fishing this on the fall, and I was having a great day with it. With picky fish and shallow water, and I think you guys will love it for the Mackenzie, but especially like places like the fall or the upper Metolious, this fly will really shine. On the Mackenzie, where the water's a little bit quicker, you may want something more buoyant with foam, something like that. But I mean, it is an emerger, so the fact that it would be sinking is totally okay also. So I'll show you how it's tied. It's a pretty easy one. So starting with our hook, we're using the Ahrex 570 dry fly long. I'm a big fan of this hook for larger flies like drakes, or works really great for little hoppers or beetles or crickets, things like that. It's pretty stout. And in smaller sizes, it is good for mayflies and stuff, but it's a pretty serious hook, as you can see. So I really like it for bigger ticket food items for sure. And so this is a size 10. In the 570 dry long, and I'm using Semperfli Nano Silk right now. And the shuck is made of EP trigger point fibers in March Brown. It's my favorite material for shucks in the world. You should definitely get yourself some, because you'll use it on everything like I do. We're going to cut it long. You can always trim it down. And then the nice thing about this fly too is the whole body is made of EP trigger point fibers, which are treated with, they're treated and they're waterproof. So they work really good for emergers and stuff like that. They work great for the wing that kicks out in the front. If you have like a gray wing, I chose CDC on this one. But I like these a lot. I actually haven't used them in a little bit, but I was looking for stuff to tie a cool drake a little while ago, and I was like, you know what, this would make a really cool two-tone drake. So I did it, and it ended up working out really great. So we're going to take a pinch of it in the back here, and this is for the main part of the body. And especially when drakes first emerge, they have a very prominent yellow segmenting. So we're going to take this other color yellow here in the EP fibers, and we're going to tie it in, and then this is what we're going to cord up to segment our body. So this is kind of a cool technique that's new for me. I was just playing around, and it works really good to make kind of a segmented mayfly body. Also happens to be really buoyant, so it's a plus for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to start wrapping this up, and towards the back you're going to want to kind of flatten it out if you can, to help maintain that natural taper of the bug. And we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to come back just a smidge to create just a little bit of a body taper. And then do a little bump right here, and that'll be enough if it doesn't skip. And so just make sure that's fully locked off before you snip it. Snip the excess. You can use it for another drake if you're tying multiple. And then this is the cool part. So we're going to take this yellow and we're going to cord it up, and you're going to have to twist it forward. At least the way I'm wrapping it, and that's how the cord grabs. And so we're going to take our first wrap here. So if you're wrapping back to front, pushing it forward, you need to twist the cord towards the eye of the hook for it to fully grab. And we're going to segment the body at roughly natural looking intervals for a mayfly. And this gives that really cool green drake segmented look with cord. Sometimes they use floss for this, but the cool thing about this is floss will absorb water. This is pre-treated and does not absorb water. So it's a little bit better system here for this drake. And we're going to pinch this off. And then it's pretty simple from here on out. We just put a couple of tufts of CDC in the front. We'll add a little CDC bubble on the back, wrap some hackle in, and we are good. So for this fly, I like to use this Stonefo CDC winding tool. You either need like 2 big feathers of CDC like this, or a couple of small ones. But either way, this CDC winding tool makes life really easy. I can make the most of each CDC feather, which is really cool. So to use it, it's 3 prongs, and you pinch it in the front, and you wind it up on itself. And that shoots fibers out on either side like so. And then what you can do is you can pinch it and slide it off. And then now you've got a big old tuft of CDC that you can just pinch right in, right up here. And the tough part is getting real close to that stem back here without hitting it, but you want to get as much of it on there as you can. And then we're going to trim off this kind of mess back here. This is the whole stem all bound up. But as you can see, we got a lot of CDC off that one feather. And I'm tying this extra buoyant. This is enough for some people, but for me, I don't know where I'm going to take this. I don't know if I'm going to take this to the Metolious. If I would take it to the Metolious now, the drakes are moving their way up from bottom up, and that would mean that I need more buoyancy for sure. So I'm going to add a second feather CDC. So we're just going to do the same thing and add a little bit more buoyancy to this fly. We're going to wind this other CDC feather in. This will give us just a little bit more buoyancy that we need. There we go. And if you take your time winding the stem on top of itself, you have less space that gets all jammed up basically. And so we're putting another tuft of CDC on here just to add a little bit more buoyancy. Now you can see we've got a nice tuft. Don't worry that it's real long. If it bothers you, you can trim it down a little bit, but I like to really give it its final trim once the hackle's in, and I can kind of size it. And then lastly, we're going to put a little bubble of CDC on the back. So take a CDC feather with fairly long fibers, and we're going to kind of bound it up on itself like this. And then we're going to tie it in. Facing the front, you can actually use a little bit of the tip too to add to that tuft of CDC emerging in the front. And then we'll double it over itself. Now you've got your little tuft back here. You may have some loose fibers sticking out, but you can trim them off, but you do need to take this quill out. And lastly, we're taking a whiting olive saddle feather that's barred, and we are going to tie it in back here and just wrap it to the front. Pretty simple. And if you're fishing this on somewhere like the fall, you may want to not hackle it as heavy. If you're fishing it on the Mackenzie or the lower Metolious, I would definitely hackle it heavier. This is fairly heavy because I don't know where I'm going to take it. The cool thing about this fly too is you could also trim the bottom out. And that makes a huge difference on its buoyancy too. So if you do need it to ride lower and the fish are refusing it and you don't have any other flies, you can actually trim that out, which is pretty cool. So we're going to take all of our wraps in the front, and as you can see, that kicks up the front wing, which is pretty cool. Very, very emergery. And then we are going to, this is the kind of tricky part, you got to pull the wing back here and then do your whip finish right on that down eye, but the down eye helps a lot. And so now you've got your EP Green Drake Cripple. This is a great fly, and if you want to trim this down, you can. I'll trim it down just a smidge. I almost don't have to, just to make it perfect for you guys. There you go. You can get all this stuff online at Caddis Fly Shop. Take this over to the fall, the Upper Mackenzie, Metolious, anywhere else with drakes, and smash some big fish.